Hi, this is Barry Zito, and you're listening to the Extreme Scene Radio Network. Surfing it up. No, I can't surf it up. Hi, this is Barry Zito, and you're listening to Extreme Scene, where we talk about surfing, skating, ripping, and tripping.
Thank you, Barry Zito, pitcher for your San Francisco Giants, your world champion San Francisco Giants, and surfer. He's been on the show quite a few times. This is the Extreme Scene on the Sports Byline Radio Network and the Armed Forces Network. Our next guest, I've been wanting to interview him for a long time. If you watch the Drive Thru series, you become an instant fan. If you listen to his music, you become an instant fan. The man's got style and panache, and I'm a huge fan, and it's a pleasure to have him on the program. Donavon Frankenreiter. Donovan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Where are you at right now? Where in the world are you currently situated?
I'm on the. I'm at home in Kauai. I'm just home in Hawaii and celebrating Mother's Day. I got 2 young boys, and we're trying to pamper mommy and have a good day today. So it's all good.
That's beautiful. And how old are your kids now?
8 years old and 3 years old. Oh wait, my 3-year-old just turned 4. So 4.
Beautiful.
4 and 8.
That's great. And 8's like that. I mean, they're not a kid anymore. They're starting to give you some adult questions and making you flip out a little bit, right?
Yeah, adult questions, adult attitude. He's 8, going on like 18. It's yeah, he's obsessed with surfing and fishing and just being outside. And so I don't know. It's amazing. I feel really lucky to be able to raise the kids here in Hawaii. It's a beautiful place to kind of show them a bunch of different things that they can get into out in the open.
Absolutely. And you actually hail from Southern California, but how long ago did you move out to Kauai?
It's been about 3.5 years that we've been here. But basically Mission Viejo, Laguna Beach, San Juan was kind of in that Southern California area, the place where I grew up my whole life, and that's where I learned how to surf and kind of learned all the surfing stuff. And
you know, so, I mean, a lot of people will say that Kauai, maybe next to Oahu, is one of the least friendly when it comes to outsiders coming in. How's the local community embraced you guys? Has it been friendly? Have you had some rough patches?
You know, I know a lot of great, amazing people, and I think it's just one of those things like anywhere in the world. If you if you come somewhere and you have the most ultimate respect for the locals and the people that live around you, and you don't show up somewhere and try to obviously take over or be something that they don't want to see, then I think that's the beauty of where I live, because they put a stop to a lot of things that would make it turn into something that they don't want. And it's the other side is when they show you love and they give you that aloha love. There's nothing like it. So it's the most beautiful place in the world for me to call home, and it's just an amazing place to raise kids. And for me, I'm on the road so much doing my surfing and doing my music, and when I come home, I really wanted to live somewhere where I could just come home and decompress and not drive too much and just roll out of the car into the hot sand and swim and surf. So this is sort of an ideal place for me to do that.
You are blessed, brother. We're joined by Donavon Frankenreiter here on the Extreme Scene. Let's talk about all the stuff you've done. It's crazy. I mean, you have a lot of fans out there, and it's almost like split 50-50 between some will say they enjoy your surfing more, some will say they enjoy your music more. Let's talk about the surfing first. I mean, I got exposed to you through the Drive Thru series, and this only started like a few years ago for me. I started watching on Fuel, and before that, I never even heard of it. And I remember people talking about it, so I guess I'd heard of it, but I just never really knew much about it. In my opinion, and this is including all surf films, there's a few surf movies that are just on an epic proportion, but then there's the Drive Thru series, which is almost more like a reality TV show than like a surf movie, but you guys dialed it down so much. I've never heard a single complaint about the show. How did you guys get that amazing crew together to make what became like an unbelievable series?
It's it's definitely the brainchild of Greg Browning and Taylor Steele. It was Greg Browning's idea to get a crew of people together, and the first one we did had to have been we've done 10 of those, and I'm not sure how many of the series have actually showed on Fuel. Maybe it was 3 seasons or 4 seasons of it, but we've actually done 10 different movies, and the first one was Drive Thru California, and we went from the tip of California by Oregon all the way to the bottom of the Tijuana border, and so it kind of spanned from there, and we decided, me and Benji were great characters, and we kind of would push everybody else's buttons, and we'd kind of throw different characters in on every trip, and it kind of, from what I think Greg realized after the first one is it's a surf movie, but it's sort of like the making of a surf movie. Like, what happens actually if you want to travel to South Africa and surf Jeffreys Bay. I mean, usually it just says Jeffreys Bay and they just show the waves. And so
Right.
it's one of those things that we've learned a lot too, where people can watch it with their parents, their girlfriends, whatever. The surfers can watch it with other people that don't surf, and they're all laughing together, and they're all understanding and enjoying the reality of it, because everybody's done that sort of getting an RV or go on a plane or be on a boat, or just the traveling aspect of what happens. And then you get, six, guys together and pulling board bags and guitars and traveling and doing all that. There's always going to be one or two guys that are grumpy, or somebody flares up, or there's just some crazy things happen along the way. So we realize that if we get waves, that's going to be amazing and great and make it just that much better. But it's actually what happens if you want to go surfing in Jamaica, and what happens if you want to go all the way to Panama. And so people really don't see what happens once you get out of the car at LAX and get on a plane and get off at the other side and go through customs. And so we film all that stuff, and it's like the making of a surf movie, and it's been enjoyable for us. They kind of could see what we do, what it takes to pull it all off, and so many hilarious things happen. So it's a brilliant idea that they decided to start doing.
Yeah, and it's an amazing series, and you mentioned the California one. I've never seen that one on Fuel, so I think this is one of the ones that they don't show. But
you got to see it. It's funny. There's a scene in San Francisco that's unbelievable at the end.
Wow, no, I definitely, because that's where the studio here is based, is in San Francisco. And speaking of, and I guess there are two things that always stuck out about the Drive Thru series that I think appealed incredibly. One was the cast of characters themselves. Primarily, it was you mentioned Benji Weatherly, and then Pat O'Connell. It seemed like you three were in almost all of them. I mean, Kalani Robb, even Slater showed up for a series. I mean, there were always little characters, but you three were like the core. And people loved you guys. I mean, you were very personable. It was just, you kind of wanted your FaceTime was it was something that people enjoyed seeing. And the second thing was, at least in my opinion, that really appealed was that it wasn't like most of these other surf movies where you're only seeing guys surfing the greatest waves in the world. You're kind of doing what the average surfer does, which is, oh, great, conditions suck, but I came all the way out here. I'm gonna have to surf anyways, Yeah. And that's what you guys did. It was great.
Yeah, it's sort of like the reality of what happens, because we do those things in 2 weeks. It's 14 days on the road. They film every day. And so, sometimes when you watch a surf movie that has, like, the most incredible waves in the world, well, that movie could have taken a year or 2 years to make.
Right.
So for us, it's like it is reality. I mean, for every surfer that goes out there and dreams to go to a surf trip, there's no guarantees. It's like, okay, I got these 2 weeks block. I'm going in 6 months. It's like you never really know what it's going to be like. And that's sort of the surprise and the element, I think, of the excitement of surfing. But when you do get it, it's unbelievable. But when you don't get it, what really happens? What occurs, and do you still surf? And so it's like we do show the actual reality of, like, we traveled for so many days to South Africa, and the beginning of the trip wasn't really that great of waves, and then it just kind of, definitely peaked at the end at Perfect Jeffreys Bay. And so, there's so many things that we normally wouldn't do if it was strictly, we just want to shoot you surfing. Like in South Africa, they made us jump off the largest bungee jump in the world, and, we surfed the standing wave. And in Brazil, we jumped off the cliffs of Rio and hang glided.
That was crazy, by the way.
I look back, and my wife says, you're never going to do that stuff again. It's ridiculous. I look back at the things I did, and I said, come on, do it for the show. And I did it. And I think, what an idiot, because I hear that people die all the time jumping off Rio cliffs, hang gliding, because the guys putting them together, just, get the screwdriver out, they put the hang glider together, and you jump off. But nobody got hurt throughout all the series, and everybody's still home and alive, so it's cool. But we did some stupid stuff.
Yeah, but it came out great for television. And the one gist I got too is I got the feeling that you guys never. It was like 2 weeks of just no sleep.
It's super funny. We people have actually, after like the 5th series, we'd have other surfers going, man, you got to invite me on the Drive Thru. I really want to go. And we figure if Benji and Pat and I can, kind of somehow ruffle their feathers and get the best out of these guys, we'll invite them if they're characters and they're really great surfers. But the people who don't, if you just watch the show, you're like, these guys are having a great time. This is amazing. But the reality of it is we don't ever sleep, and you're going nonstop for 14 days. So these newcomers that come on just go, are you guys kidding me? This is like, this is ridiculous. And as soon as they start saying that stuff, that's when you're like, okay, cool. They were going to get the best out of these guys right now. Because when people when they start to break down and I don't want to go surf these crappy waves, and it just turns into like complete, reality humor. It's unreal.
It is, man. And you always manage to keep things positive, which is awesome. Is Drive Thru over, or are you guys going to get together again? Like, is there a future?
Well, we want to. I know that Taylor, Steele, and Greg are Greg Brown, they were talking about, I still told them we should do the Drive Thru China. We got to do the Drive Thru on the East Coast, from like Miami up to Maine. And so they're talking to Fuel TV, but that network's kind of changing formats and what they're playing and what they're doing. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe there could be a spin-off of that sort of scene. But, I think that there definitely is somewhere a home for a show like that on a network. And hopefully I know those guys are working on something to try to either get it on that same network or it might be called something different, and it could be on a different network. But I just think it'd be such a great reality show to keep pursuing. It'd be really fun for people to watch.
Absolutely, and I hope they do bring it back because it was one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen on television, and I had a great time watching. And we're joined by Donavon Frankenreiter here on the Extreme Scene. One thing you're known for is surfing a rather eclectic variety of surfboards. While others will bring out their traditional thruster, you've got like a twin fin, like a double overhead day or something. It's really you've always got this unique style of board. Why do you defy the norm when it comes to surfboards?
It's weird. Like, there was a time, I think it was when I was, in my early 20s, where I started to watch some older surf movies, and it was, it might have been even earlier that when I was like in my later teens, but this was like, I'd be going and doing these in-stores for Billabong and all these different surf shops, and it was during a time when, like, old guys, like, were collecting, like, 40s and 50s, like, 60s, early 60s, like, longboards, incredible old, big longboards, and I was never really... I'm a really big fan of those boards now, but at the time I was like, people were giving me, they're like, I don't even know what to do with this, this piece of crap, and it was like a lightning bolt, and I'd be like, what? This thing's actually beautiful, and I'd start watching these old surf movies, these guys riding these boards, and that was the first time it opened me up to, like, in realizing that all these boards to me are like works of art. They're all like, a lot of boards nowadays are made, not that they're not works of art, but they're made with a machine, and then they're kind of hand-sanded at the end, and, boards back in the day were all done by hand from the very beginning of cutting the foam and then laying the fiberglass and doing all that stuff. And so riding these old boards, it was so fun. You could go out and surf a wave and have 3 different boards on the beach, and it was a completely different session if you rode like this big wide fish with twin fins, or you rode a single fin 7/0 pintail lightning bolt, or you rode this Bonzer board. I started realizing that fin placements and fins, and I just think they were like really trying to get into some innovative stuff, like throughout all the longboard era, and then it went shortboard, and then because for me, I had the luxury of I didn't have to go on a surf trip and win a contest. It was like, hey, we're going to send you somewhere, go surf these great waves, and have fun and be innovative and do whatever, get some good photos or something. And so I'd be like, well, instead of doing the same thing every session, I'm going to bring a 4 fin and a twin fin and a single fin and just have fun and try to get different shots and ride different styles of boards, and it totally changes your whole trip. Like I always tell people, if you have a group of friends that you always go out and surf with, if you got off your normal boards and everybody paddled out like an old beater single fin for the day, everybody'd be laughing their asses off. It's so funny to see people 50% of the time you're going to pearl and wipe out, and you might make a great drop and get a good bottom turn. It just changes the whole vibe of the session, and I think people realize too that they don't have to ride what everybody else is riding. And now I see a lot of people riding these bigger, wider boards and going a lot faster. And it's kind of easier when you have a bigger board if you're just beginning.
Absolutely,
you've got more stability and stuff. So people, if you go to any sort of cruisy spot like San Onofre or something in Southern California, there'll be guys riding everything from foam boards up to old classic, 50s longboards and everything in between. Like, it's sort of like anything goes now, and it's, I don't know, it's a lot of fun. I think a lot of different things have obviously come from sort of the evolution of the surfboard is like a great thing to kind of know about, if you're super into surfing like myself.
No, absolutely. And what's crazy is I really believe you started a trend. Hey, Donavon, I hate to ask this, but do you mind staying for one more segment just because there's so much left to cover? And I do want to promote your new album, which is out. Do you have time to stay for one more segment?
Yeah, I'll stick around. No problem.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Very beautiful. And that's Donavon Frankenreiter. His website, by the way, is donavonf.com. If you want to find out where he's touring, I think he's going to be in Northern California sometime in early June. I don't have the exact date, but if you go to donavonf.com, that's Donavon Frankenreiter's website. We're going to have another segment with Donavon Frankenreiter, surfer and musician extraordinaire, here on the Extreme Scene on the Sports Byline Radio Network and the Armed Forces Network.